Good morning, everyone. It's a very pleasure to be here to share at this moment the bullying campaign between Plan International, World Vision, and in the Ibero-American Organization of States. We have a partnership to development this topic about the bullying because, as you know, the main problem, or one of the main problems in the Latin America and the Caribbean region is violence, the high levels of violence that suffer children and youth in our different countries. And in this sense, we try to do some ideas about the bullying, what is the bullying, how detect the bullying, and after that, we try to show you a little bit about the toolkit to develop a community strategy, especially in the schools, to develop different strategies to combat the bullying in our schools. Okay, thank you very much. Also to my partner Sergio Bombacano. He is a regional education advisor for Plan International, and this is right now in this conference. And thank you, Sergio. Okay, we'll start with the presentation. Firstly, what is the bullying? In the region, in fact, at the global level, we have a different concepts, different definitions about the bullying. But in the case of Latin America, we have, I think, the best definition elaborated by Cleo Fante. Cleo Fante is a Brazilian specialist in the bullying topic, and his book is The Bullying. He is in Colombia. Okay, what is the bullying? Well, the bullying is a situation, especially it's a social situation. Then, in this sense, the bullying is a situation where a student or a group of students intentionality, this is important, intentionality, adopt aggressive behavior and repeat it against the others to disadvantage of force of power. This is a very strong concept, is a disadvantage of power. Putting under tension and domination, creating pain and suffering without obvious reason, Especially, bullying is creating to children that they have family problems, a low performance in the schools, and they have detected by others that generate abuse of power. Okay. Okay, we have here etymology about the bullying. Obviously, bullying is an English word. The first concept about the bullying is in the 1600 years, and the first concept is boil, that this means lover of both sexes. After that, the term of bullying is a bully, that means beloved, in this case, between brothers, that means also a close friendship. But with the time, the bullying concept evolutionate to convert in a a negative concept, not necessarily a positive concept that 60 years. The other concept is especially used in the coal mines. That means co-bullies, right? Very near a very close friendship relationship. In the other side, war thugs or bullies, cowardice, weakness, tyranny, and violence. Then we see that at the moment the bullying concept transforming in a negative concept. After that, thirdly, is bullying means a deal authoritatively intimidate, frighten, or compel or coercive pressure towards a particular address. This is a evolution of the concept of bullying taken off of Oxford English Dictionary. But obviously, in the Anglo-Saxon literature, we have several concepts about the bullying, because especially in the United States and Europe, the bullying is also a very high level issue in the school. Okay, how to detect the bullying? The partners detect or elaborate 5 criteria to detect the bullying, especially in the schools. Then this is very important. When we talking about the bullying, we are a specific case of violence between peers, child by child, right? In other kinds of violence, for instance, between child and teacher, takes other names, or the violence between job partners is take another name also. But bullying frequently uses to talk about the violence between peers, children peers in the schools. Okay, we have 5 criteria to detect the bullying. The first one is persistence and continuity of attacks against the same victim. The second one is absence of reason that justifying the attacks. The third one is very intention of the author of bullying in causing damage to victims. This is in the fourth one, the imbalance of power between the parties, right? And finally, injuries caused to the victim. As we said in the previous slide, not necessarily we have a causes to against the other. It's just an imbalance of power between the parties. Okay. Well, this is a simple table to understand how to detect the bullying. What is the behaviors that we have tips to detect the bullying? Firstly, bullying in the verbal behavior. We have in this file the nicknames, disturbed or insulting, especially profanity to the other children. It's bullying is also a moral issue that expressed in slander, defame, or spreading rumors about the victim. Psychological, especially intimidate, produce fear, persecute, and abuse, psychological abuse. Sexual is other kind of that we detect bullying about the insinuate, besiege, or in the extremely sexual abuse also. A material is shadow, steel, in all the time about the victim. Social is disregard all the time, isolate, the victim is isolate, and exclude. In physics, we have a hit, a nudge, especially, and other kind of bullying is called cyberbullying. In this topic, we have disseminate images between the social networks, send threatening messages, or creating communities to attack special children or youth. Okay. Then, obviously, bullying is a violation of the rights of children, especially because the bullying is a kind of violence. We have a debate about this. Bullying is the hereditary determinism versus learning. In the perspective of World Vision and my partner's plan, Cartoon Network, we think that it's the main causes of bullying is social learning across the time, especially because we reproduce social violence that the children see in their communities, in their family, etc. Especially about situation of intolerance, disrespect, prejudice between the family, in the community, also in the schools, in the church, etc. The other kind of causes of bullying as violation of right children is follow the adults' role models. That expressing in the children from broken homes, violent homes, permissive homes. We have in an area where we have a very high confuse between the rights of the children and rules that permit correct behavior of the children. Intolerance and negligence it's also them. And the third one is observation and experience between a social interaction in the family, schools, social culture, or economic culture. Especially in Latin America and the Caribbean, we have lives right now in a individualism culture where the most important is the consume and not necessarily they promote the values. Okay, what about the consequences in the short, medium, and long term of cause of bullying? Well, in the case of victim, we have headaches, stomach, throat, irritability, nervousness, fatigue, lack of appetite, insomnia, anxiety, unhappiness, fear, loss of confidence and trust in others. That's important because the teachers have a very special role in this issue. Lack of concentration, dispersion, evasion, process difficulty of learning to adapt to adolescence or adult life, public and intimate relationship problems, stress, depression, harm, and the extreme of the case of bullying is commit suicide for children and youth. Then, in the case, the other side of the money, the consequences of the perpetrator is a difficulty to maintaining a positive relationship. Also learning difficulties, compliance with rule evasion, slow performance, tendency to risky behavior, consumption of snuff, alcohol, and or other kinds of drugs, depression, self-flagellation, delinquency, crimes, domestic violence, moral harassment at work, reproduction partners in adolescence and adulthood, homicide, and suicide. It's also the consequences in the case of perpetrators. Okay, then once that we have a very short framework about the bullying, how to prevent the bullying. Okay, the first action that detect and combat the bullying and attend the bullying between the schools, between the other organizations that are specialists in the item is collocate in the first place children and youth. But it's not just a problem with children and youth. We have families. Families are responsible to cover and offers a comfortable and security environment for children and youth. But in other level, we have also a society between the behavior, between the cultural practices, economic practices. They have a role also to protect children and youth about the bullying. And to articulate this or our effort to combat the bullying, we have the state and especially the schools. But it's not just the schools, the responsibility to combat the bullying. We have the task to create a network between the children and youth, family, society, and the schools. How to prevent this? Well, between articulate action, sustainable action, and especially that's important to create a peace and justice culture. That means that we have to try create a security environment for the children, especially in the schools, but also in the family, society, in all spaces of the society. Okay, then this first part is a little bit concept part of the bullying. I don't know, Micaela, if the participants have questions or continue with the presentation.
This time, I don't see any questions from the participant. Let me check one comment only. One participant will like to make a question, he says, at the end of the presentation. He will type it in Spanish, he's telling us, and then we will read it out loud, but we can leave it for the end of the session. Okay.
Okay. The presentation, right?
At this time, there are no questions.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the partners, Plan International, OAE, World Vision, and we have also a local partner in Mexico City, Ministry of Education of Mexico City, Ministry of Education in Sao Paulo, Brazil, developed a toolkit. A toolkit is especially developed in the methodological design by Plan International and Chicos.net. It's a consultant in Buenos Aires, Argentina. But in justice, I have to say that Plan International has a very strong experience about the violence issues across the Latin America and Caribbean region. Then I say again, thank you very much to my colleague Sergio Bombacano to review and participate in the methodological design of the toolkit. World Vision and the Ministry of Education of Mexico City contribute to technical review of the toolkit. The toolkit is designed to children, adolescents, adults, teachers, and school authorities, and also parents and mothers, or careers of the children, right? The aim of the toolkit is to prevent the bullying and offers an effective approach about the bullying. The toolkit provides resources to support the different actors to read to this problem. Okay. Then the toolkit feature. We have 4 objectives about the toolkit. The bullying toolkit is prepared in a easily language that offers the possibility to be understood by any sector of the population that have access to the toolkit bullying, including a gender perspective. The toolkit aims to highlight the issue of the bullying, to provide the schools in the communities the tools to raise awareness through education, dialogue, and tolerance. The toolkit has 7 folders. In which folder we seek to provide viable solutions to reduce and combat bullying, and allows boys, girls, and teenagers can enjoy their right to live without violence and learn in the school safety and protection. It's a little bit that we talked about in the previous slides. Okay, this is the toolkit. The toolkit, the folder 0 or folder of introduction, it's a content about the bullying. You can find more information about the bullying, how to detect, how to prevent, and a very short guidelines to develop the rest of the folders. Okay, the folder 1 contains information and activities for children of primary schools in age of 7 to 12 years. And the folder 2 is a complement, the folder 1, and in this case, the folder 2 has information and activities for primary school teachers. The school teachers have a possibility to explore more about the bullying. We have tools to be developed in the classroom, strategies to prevent, detect, and shown to the school if in the classroom exceeding the bullying. The folder 3 is information and activities for high school students. Let me say that the folder number 3 is not exactly for high school students, especially if we're thinking in the United States school system. High school is equivalent to bachillerato or preparatoria in Latin America. Then maybe the better name is for this folder the information and activities for children of primary school in the second level. Well, anyway, in 12 to 18 years. And so, since 15 to 18 years, we have talking in Latin America about the high school. The folder 4 is a complement also with information and activities for the teachers in the schools to support activities, to support strategies, to help their to help them to discover bullying situation and provides knowledge to the teachers to avoid the bullying problem. The folder 5 is information and activities for parents and careers. For World Vision and I think for Fun, this folder is important because our expect is that this folder will be implementing in the field, in the communities, with the parents' committees, about the schools, churches, other NGOs, local governments, etc. And the folder 6 provides information and activities for directors and or administrators as educational institutions. That folder also is important because in some cases only if the directors have take importance of the bullying problem, they delegate in their schools to develop strategies, especially in the case of the bullying. Okay. In this part, we will doing a crumble in each folder. In the folder number 1, children from 7 to 12 years, the folder is divided in 3 parts. The first part is a concept about the bullying, provides an explanation about how the children is probably that they convert in a victim. What are we doing if detect a perpetrator of bullying, etc. The second part of the folder contains fun activities to do reflection and strengthening exercise. But it's not limited for the exercise in the folder. Maybe the folder is very useful to give us more ideas about how to develop strategies to prevent the bullying, firstly in the classroom, and secondly at the school level. And finally, the folder develop a plan of action in the schools. For us, it's very important to develop a plan of action because the last intentions of this toolkit, of this campaign, is create a prevent culture across the schools, across the families, and across the volunteers and other groups in the communities. The folder suggests some strategies to combat the bullying. In this folder, recommended establish at the community level groups of volunteers. These volunteers can be the parents that will be trained to use the tool. It's important also that in some cases the issue of the bullying in many places is very delicate to deal openly. So that a part of the team's formation of sensitive sites implemented should the cultural context in each country and in each school. We have differences in each schools that make necessary develop a particular strategy to combat the bullying. Okay, the folder number 2, teacher of elementary school. the folder is divided in two sections. The first one in this section is explanation, tips, and strategies to carry out preventive work in the classroom, and also contain activities and games in the classroom, but is not restricted. The toolkit provides ideas, provides some exercises, but obviously the teachers can develop other strategies to detect and prevent the bullying strategy. Ideally, in the term of a strategy, the toolkit expect that to be presented to teachers by the staff members of the organization, but no necessary organization. Teacher to teachers, teachers to parents, teachers to local government, because in across the region, teachers it's a authority person, a focal point for the parents, for the government, and we can use this advantage to promote the toolkit. Okay, since it's a political work to promote the toolkit, the field team should be alert and open to receive feedback from other teachers, right? The toolkit is the content of toolkit is not mandatory, but is necessary to do a political lobby to follow more the application of the toolkit in other schools or in the many classrooms. It is suggested that training is carried out in blocks, for instance, group several schools, peer district, or municipality, according to the local context. Okay. The folder 3 is for secondary students, or we also for high school students. The folder has 3 components, very similar with the folder number 1, explanatory part, but the difference between the folder 1 and the folder 3 is that in this case, in the secondary students, the toolkit introduce a gender perspective and approach to the issue of cyberbullying, especially because in the adolescents, the children, the youths use more and more computers, programs, social networks as Facebook, as Twitter, as many others, that the folder of this toolkit try to prevent the possibility of the cyberbullying and or other kinds of violence or vulnerabilities for the children and youth, especially sexual abuse and etc. The folder contains strengthening activities. In the same case, it's not limitative, but provides great ideas that we can do more and on other kinds of activities to prevent the bullying. The strategy is considering that in our region, young people are no strangers to the use of the technology, which in the turn also makes them more vulnerable to the other social risks. It is suggested to awareness through the toolkit can be carried out taking advantage of the various youth network with organizations that count. And the second one is suggest briefing as young people quickly lose concentration. The best strategy that we suggest is use the recreational tools to introduce the topic. as the social network is also a very good strategy to introduce the issue with the young people. Okay. The folder 4 is for high school or secondary teacher. It's very similar that the folder 2, the basic education teacher. It's an explanation, tip, and a strategy. Just remember that in this folder we have strategies to detect cyberbullying and other kinds of violence across the social network, and we have activities and games in the classroom. It's the same case. Ideally, the toolkit is expected to be presented by teachers. It's also a political work to try to expand the impact of the toolkit, of the particular strategy to prevent the violence in the schools, and we suggest that training is carried out in block also. Okay. The folder number 5 is very important for us, especially because it's thinking at the school and community level. That means it's not just in the school, it's out of the school's work also. This folder contains inputs that will allow those responsible of care of children, girls, and adolescents identifying bullying situations and provides guidance for, 1, the general information for understanding of bullying. In some cases, parents not necessarily understand what is the bullying, what is the consequences of the bullying, and they detect or know the bullying when it's very late, when the children is affected with the bullying problem. Okay, other content is what to do if your son, if their son or your daughter is bullied. And we have the other side of the coin. In number 3, what to do if their son or daughter is who harasses, is the person who's attacked, who is killed, commits the bullying. And get coping strategy that do not violate in the family, because in some studies we detect that when the parent discovers that their son is victim of bullying, the response of the parents is it's a violence, but we have more violence. We have a conscious thinking of the parents to prevent, to help their children. The strategy, it is important to understand that the school and family should form an alliance to educate, accompany children, girls, and adolescents. This is very, very, very important because in some societies in our region, families think that it's responsibility of the schools from give education and values to the children, or in some schools, teachers think that their function is just provide knowledge, but and values and other behavior, social behavior, is responsibility of the families. That is a very strong alliance to educate children and youth. We recommended that those is responsibility for the care of children, girls, and adolescents as forming committees, school, healthy living, and safe schools. In some countries, we have now experiences about the community schools, that they develop a kind of social accountability, but teachers are very closely commitment to help the parents, and parents help to the teachers. Okay. Then the folder number 6 is strategic, especially in the schools, because we need, in some cases, the approval of directors and educational administrators to develop other programs that not necessarily are included in the curricula. Then this folder basically encourages those responsible for schools to take action for their schools, constitute a space free of violence. To do this, it is proposed in the folder sort of action plan in 7 steps. But these 7 steps are not limitative. Again, it's just a suggestion that the toolkit gives us, and the plan, our vision suggests also to strengthen the community committees in the schools, to strengthen the commitment with the teacher, authorities, and other actors in the community. Okay, well, these 7 steps, the first one is strengthening guidelines conducive to good school life, right? The second one is how to identify and prevent the bullying. Third one, carry out systematic preventive work. If it is possible, introduce the subject in the school curriculum, as I said. Establish a monitoring plan and implement the activities with parents and mothers. The school authorities should seek to involve them in the problem and possible solution. Other component, very important, is to do continuing training, awareness, and education for teachers. This platform is very useful. I hope that this presentation will be useful for you, and it's just a first part of the training that the teachers know more about the bullying. Number 6 is activities to encourage harmonious living environment. And finally, creating school life codes and monitoring committees. I know that in some schools in the United States, in Canada, we have codes and monitoring committees that develop a strategy to detect violent cases. But we have other countries, as Haiti, for example, and others in Central or South America, that not necessarily has a coach and monitoring committees to prevent the bullying. That is our suggestion to work with the bullying.